Yeah, it's time for that boom bap breakfast. Are y'all ready? Y'all got y'all plates, y'all got y'all spoons, y'all forks and knives and everything? Let's get into it. This is Black Power Media, and this is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Kamal K. Franklin, and burn it down, Kim Bratt. All right, let's unmute. There we go.
I'm mutiny, man. I'm saying good morning.
It's mutiny.
That was not bad. Yeah, it seems brighter in here, doesn't it? My house.
Oh, look at you. Got some lights going on in
I don't know why. I didn't do anything, but it does look brighter in here.
I think you.
I don't got the light special going like him, but you know.
What you got, a mirror reflecting your brightness back to you?
You know what?
I don't know why already.
Why'd I come on? I don't know why I come on. I don't know why.
Good morning, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Good. Good morning to you.
Thank you. How was your weekend, Ear Doctor? Since I know you're going to tell us all about it.
My weekend, actually, I did much of nothing.
That's not true. I don't believe that.
I did Sundays. You
had no jobs?
I had a gig. It was Friday. Yeah, I actually did do a Friday and Saturday. It was a community gig. Working in Pittsburgh community. Yes, that's right. Some of your favorite friends was up in there, Kamal. Yes. Yeah, they was up in there. People that don't like Kamal. That's what I was trying to say.
Who doesn't like Kamal? I don't believe such people exist.
Exactly. Me neither. And if they do, 2 years in the bucket.
Yeah, Doctor. I know you don't let people talk bad about Kamal in front of you. I know you correct.
Yes, he does. He joins in.
No.
He's like that mother. Let me tell you what he did to me. Yeah, that's what happens with my crew. Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh shit.
Nah, that's my people's right there.
Yeah.
How was your weekend, Kim?
Oh, my weekend was fantastic.
Let's hear it. Do tell.
It was a beautiful weekend. I mean, listen, just being able to get out and breathe the fresh air, like I enjoy the simple pleasures. So I'm still, I'm socially standoffish, y'all, because fucking COVID is out here jumping on people. I don't know if y'all were still aware of this. But,
oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know. Ear Doctor's immune to the COVID. Apparently, I'm immune to the fucking COVID, too, because I ain't had it. But
that's right. You've never had it, right?
I have not had it. I'm still, all the experts say, if you have not had COVID, definitely try to avoid it because...
And you haven't had it either, Ear Doctor, right?
No.
But see,
two different approaches.
Yes.
And you both have
look at that.
And I'm somewhere in between, and yet I've had it like maybe twice, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
But see, I think the kids brought that.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. My daughter had her play this weekend. They did a Willy Wonka play. It was all cute with the Oompa Loompas and all the rest of it.
Oh, nice. I love to hear it because young me is a thespian out here. She is giving us actress.
She is. She's giving actress vibes. I think one day I'll be a manager though, because I don't trust nobody in Hollywood.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Kamal.
Matthew knows the whole situation.
Kamal, no doubt we love our kids, but which one do you like better?
Stop.
I don't believe in that concept. There might be something I like better at the moment because the one is not getting on my nerve. But I love my babies. I can't stand in.
I didn't say you didn't love them. I said you love them.
Yeah, you said which one I love more.
And
I'm saying I don't believe in that concept.
Which one do you like better?
I like them both the same amount, except when they get on my nerves.
Okay.
How would you like it if somebody asked your parents this question, Ear Doctor? Well, first of all, I already know what my mother's answer would be, so I don't have to speculate nor wonder. But
are you her favorite or no?
Oh, come on!
Oh, like, damn! How many siblings you got?
With my mom, only one other. So, but between the two of us, I'm winning that race. Make no mistake about that.
We're gonna have to get your mom on here so we can clarify.
My mother would love to come on.
She would.
She would, but you have to understand, my mom is my mother's way nicer than me. Okay, like she is. I don't even know where I came from because my mother's so like sweet and kind and accommodating. I try to go in the opposite direction of all three of those things. But no, you guys would like my mom. My mom is a very sweet woman, super sweet.
Oh, I know.
Does your mom curse? Is she a curse?
Yes.
Okay,
Especially now. I feel like since I've been doing my show, I hear my mother curse more. Like she drops the MF more.
Where'd she get that from?
It's the opposite.
Where did I get it from? Where did I get it from? Is the real question.
Do you curse in front of your mother?
That's only a semi-recent phenomenon since I've been a big adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or only now might I drop the F-bomb in front of my mom. Before I used to, I would say shit and bullshit, but again, that didn't happen until I was an adult. Like you didn't cuss around adults.
I never cursed around my mom. Even in my I never cursed around my mom's. If something slipped out, it was like I did one like oops, like my bad kind of thing. Never did it.
I just started cursing around my kids.
Really?
Yeah, I don't curse around my kids.
No. Really?
I mean, things will slip out around them. I don't curse at them. I should
of course,
say.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't think that.
Oh, my mom used to curse at me all the time. I mean, no.
What was her favorite curse directed at you? Come out! If you don't come and get this shit.
Well, first she didn't call me that name.
Get your bitch ass down. What's she say? Get your bitch ass downstairs and clean these dishes.
So if a parent
my mom was old school. She wasn't a bitch ass cursor. She was a bitch ass. It's like before her time. So more like motherfucker was her favorite. Probably something along those lines.
Can you imagine your parents calling you a bitch ass?
That would be crazy.
Imagine mom or dad calling you a bitch ass? Like, ooh,
I feel like you'd have to go to a counselor for decades if your parents went around calling you bitch ass all the time.
You used to call me a bitch ass
nigga. And that's why I do drive-bys today.
I ain't no bitch ass nigga.
I ain't no bitch ass nigga.
So wait, I have to ask the ATLians here, the transplants, the ATLians on screen. What's going on with the Senate race today, everybody? I've seen the pictures and the video of people in Atlanta, Black people, of course, wrapped around polling places and waiting hours upon hours to vote. I know neither one of y'all voted, but what have y'all observed?
Whoa.
Did you vote?
Doc, my kids got me to vote. I went ahead and stood in line for an hour and I did it. They said we couldn't vote. Could you do it for us? And I always tell them this is your world now. You know what I'm saying? So
I didn't do it. I be getting these letters at the house. It's like the amount of lack of privacy. Like we see you haven't voted yet in this election or that election or this. I was like, well, goddamn, stay out my business. Stay out my business. And
wait
then
a
you
minute.
to do it for you too.
Wait a minute. Wifey allowed you not to vote?
Yeah, well, she didn't push it. I mean, look at the choices, B. She didn't push it too hard.
Yeah.
I think Warnock, according to the polls, which probably means he will lose, right? But according to the polls, Warnock is supposed to be up a little bit here and there, momentum. But when they do that, that's when you know that the other side will win. All the polls had Trump losing and losing by a lot, all up until after election. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what a miraculous victory. It's like, nah, y'all just got it wrong as usual. Even here, like, right, there's supposed to be the red wave. All the polls were like there's going to be a red wave sweeping the Republicans. People were like, well, yeah, just like even for the crazy whites, it was like, this might be a little bit too crazy. We'll take the moderate right over the crazy white. So.
But what is that position when it comes to this race? Who was the? I don't see a moderate in the race.
I mean, if I was to vote, I would have done Warnock, of course. The lesser. The other dude, Herschel Walker, is just too
a mockery of this political system.
Yeah.
But the mockery this political system deserves. Now, the people of Georgia don't deserve Herschel, but the fact that Herschel is out there as a serious, very viable candidate for Senate, to me, says a lot about this political system, in my humble opinion. But they also said that there was a number, I think 75,000 people who did not vote on election day back in November have come out to vote in this Senate runoff race. So, Air Doctor, you are part of a very interesting statistics. I know you didn't vote on election day Tuesday.
I did it Thursday. I already knew that.
You did early voting.
Crazy. Oh yeah. I'm not even good. I don't do lines. So this was like something real new for me. I ain't did lines in a minute.
What was that like for you, Ear Doctor? Because from what I understand, the process to vote in Georgia can be, it looks really different than it does in a lot of other places, especially with them trying to clamp down on voter ID and making sure. I'm like, dog, we're not getting a loan from the bank here, motherfucker. Like, you ain't giving me no money here. What's
The
going on?
line was long for no reason. It was just like they had like 6 machines in there. They could have had people bam, bam, bam. But I went to the hood. So a lot of the people in there was like, listen, I'm getting paid as long as I'm in here. I'm taking my time. So they was pretty much out.
Ear
Listen,
Doctor, you think that somebody is going to drag out that process for people waiting in line over what, $12 an hour?
It was back there snacking and everything. I was like, yo, why is this line not moving? And then I finally get in there. I'm like, what the? I'm like, oh, hell no. And that's, yeah. So, I mean, I went to the hood. I even seen Rob Pitts. You remember Rob Pitts?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was up in there just walking around like, oh.
Just walking around.
Kamau, do you think that Ear Doctor experienced a longer wait time because he was in the hood and people was back there snacking, or was it intentional, deliberate to make sure that people in the hood had to wait longer times in order to perhaps discourage and suppress the vote?
Wait a minute. The hood had the least amount of lines. Everywhere else had the long 2-hour lines.
Well, I mean, traditionally speaking, like it takes longer to vote in certain areas, mostly black areas, because less machines, not enough staffing. So there is those kind of issues. Ear Doctor's always going to bring up those other issues of like what personnel do or whatever like that. So when I have voted, I've usually had some nice old ladies who've been extremely helpful. Ones that look like my mama or my grandmama. I'd be like, oh. So I'm always appreciative of the quote unquote staff help. But I've seen the long lines in terms of certain neighborhoods. But I do think that more people are going to certain other places depending on what's open and what's not open. And there's always, you're right, in Georgia, there's a scramble because they'll change. They had a big lawsuit here around early voting, when it would start. We've had those things in the past around what's acceptable as IDs. So there's always these little things working, and they impact the older community more. We're a little old too now, but like the people who vote the most, like people in their 60s, late 50s and 60s and 70s, who may not be able to always define their identification, or may be a little flummoxed about what's going on. And then once they're given some bad thing about what they have to do to go vote, then they may get like, whatever, I'm just can't do it or whatever. I got to come back again. So there are these little ways in which they subtly try to do that. But Georgia has had a record turnout for voting, both in the general and the primary. I think some of that is driven by the candidates, the time period we're in, and the money, the absolute hordes of money that are being thrown at places like Georgia, which are doing everything they can to get people out to vote. Bus rides, car rides, again, 13 different reminders, shame gaming on how many times you voted, the information they put out on political candidates. So there's a lot that folks do to try to encourage folks to get out and vote too. So
they had free DJ, they had a free food, free coffee, free everything out there for people in line. It was wild. I was like, wow.
My people's yesterday had a toy drive. You know what I mean? That's like a wrap up to get people, to remind people to come out and vote and stuff like that. So people will do a lot of different things to try to get folks out there. Okay. None of it worked on me, but I'm just saying.
I'm thinking about, what that process is like for these long lines with people who have disabilities, and what the state of Georgia is doing.
Oh, they let them come to the front of the line.
Good. Thank you for telling me that. Good.
No
good,
doubt.
good.
And I was kind of flummoxed when I seen Jared right here. Jared's has a big announcement today at 11 a.m.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What, the album about to drop? What's going on?
It's called flummoxed. Yo, I never heard that one before.
Flummoxed. Yes, that's a wonderful word. I like flummoxed.
Flummoxed. Wow. Let's take a break real quick so I could go look that word up, or thesaurus or something, whatever book they got it in. All right. So right here on the Remix Morning Show, as we take our first break, let's get to it. Yeah. No.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Nope. All right, people, what's good? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button, hit that patreon.com, and go to Black Power Media, drop some change in the bucket, because you know we love it. All right, with that said, let's get to the weather report. Yo, it is raining all weekend, and it is raining everywhere. First, let's start off with Atlanta. I mean, it rained so hard this weekend, it was crazy. Atlanta, GA, got a high today of 62 degrees with rain. All right, next, let's take it up to DC. Washington, DC, got a high today of 41 degrees. Go get your North Faces out or whatever. It's getting kind of cold up there. They got rain, 41 degrees a high. And let's take it up to QB, aka Queens, New York. They got a high today of 54 degrees, raining. All right, next, let's take it to the Midwest. Chicago, Illinois, where they bring the noise. High today of 44. You know it's always cold in Chicago for some reason. All right, next, let's take it down to Austin, Texas, the place where my daddy was born. High today of 75 degrees. It's all right, still raining. All right, and next, let's take it over to Freeport, Bahamas. Big up to all my what do they call Bohemians? That's right. Big up to all my Bohemians down there. High today of 79 degrees with rain. And next, let's take it over to Tantra, Egypt. Tantra, Egypt, to the motherland. They got a high today of 74 degrees. Now, I say it is a lot of rain. A lot of rain, yes. But with that said, who enjoys a lot of rain? No other than our Black farmers. So with that said, make sure you Google or whatever and tap into your phone and say nearest Black farmer. Go and support your local farmer today. See how food tastes outside of the grocery store. It is good. And you might start eating your veggies. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah.
Can you just go to your local farmer and get some food?
Yeah.
Really you just like step on somebody's farm and be like, yo, you got some food?
Most of them have like little stands on a farm right up in the front. You just go there and grab it and just type in where can I get local farming.
Ain't no farms in Brooklyn, so
yeah, well,
yes, there are. The white people putting vertical farms and stuff on the rooftops. And...
I was just about to say, go to your rooftop. That's where all the farms are.
Not in the projects, son. There's some other things happening on the rooftop in Brooklyn.
The last time you've been in the projects anyway when you go to New York. Come on, son. Stop playing.
That's a great question.
It's only been like 4 years since the last time I've been to. What are you talking about? My mom lived in the projects.
Wait a minute. You still got your mom living in the projects?
First of all, I ain't got my mom living in the projects. My mom stayed in the projects until she was forcibly removed, hands scratching the walls to get out.
Facts. So, my bad.
Yeah.
It becomes like a real home to people. Like people really represent their blocks, their territories, and don't realize
my mom wasn't representing her territory. Nigga, what's wrong with you? My mom was living in her apartment, and that was all her shit was at, and she just stayed there because that was where her stuff was at, and she didn't want to move or be moved. It was like late in life, and she was like, no, and then she started having demands about what she would move for. And then health issues took over, and then she had no choice but the scratching the walls. You got to go. You can't live here no more. The only territory she had was with like the gambling spots. That might have been, she might have protected those territories. You know what I mean? But other than that, you know what I mean? She wasn't repping Albany projects. Son. She wasn't throwing up signs when she was repping her territory.
AP.
Your mom went to the nursing homes claiming her hood. Like, what's up, man? Where y'all from? You suckers is from? I'm from Crown Heights. What's up?
Come on, man. Every New Yorker does that. What block you from? What's the street number? Every time you have a conversation.
That's native New Yorkers. Kamal's mom wasn't a native New Yorker, right? Your mother was from down south. Your mother was from
she was from South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she grew up in a different era. You know what I mean? Like people like me. Every 5 seconds, we'll let you know I'm from Brooklyn and the Albany projects or whatever. I mean, that was in my mom's era. Right? She's Southern. But she got to New York in 1960.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what New York was like. I mean, I don't have to imagine, but just experiencing New York. Because them 60s and 1970s era New York scenes look looks stark. It looked kind of
Yeah.
stark in New York. But
And it's kind of wild, like because everything, like every movie you see is black and white. You'd be like, "Did they live in black and white?" Or something like you can't. Sometimes you can't imagine what it was like in terms of like folks' surroundings when you weren't there, or it just seemed so long ago, kind of thing. So,
Well, Kim, it does smell the same. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I'll catch you on the next break.
I know that,
there was
doctor.
no reason for that, though.
There was no reason for that. That was very uncalled for, but it's funny, Kamal, because I had actually approached my mother about going up to New York for, go see a Broadway show or something. My mother vehemently did not want to go. And that was one of the reasons that she gave. She said, New York is too funky. She said it's too funky. I said, well, I can't. What can I disagree with her?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. New York is not like just objectively funky. There might be a certain place or two you get too close to, like a little whiff. But I've had some whiffs in other places too. New York is gritty. At least it was. I don't know nothing about no gentrified New York, but it was gritty at one point.
Oh,
Loved
I'm sure the new colonizers be peeing in the streets too, man.
it. But they don't get arrested for
y'all,
it.
just like y'all regular New Yorkers. Everybody takes a whiz in on the block.
They just don't get arrested for it.
There's that. But anyway, is it time to slap the map? Shall we slap the
It might
map,
be
folks?
time to slap the map.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. This is that official boom bap remix morning show, giving you that good news, information, commentary, couple of jokes here and there. Sometimes we do some Black American regional diaspora wars on occasion. So it's a good time, usually had by all. I'm Kim Brown. That's Kamal Franklin. Big up to the ear doctor, pushing the buttons in the background. And thank you so much to the remixers for showing up for us this morning. We coming through. We making it our way on up to 200 people watching us live. So come on in, give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to Black Power Media, take a moment to do so. I'm sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye and it's like punching my eyeball, so my bad. But support the channel in all the ways that you can, everybody. This has been a fantastic year for Black Power Media. 2022, we have made so many strides in terms of the content that we're bringing, in terms of the movements and causes and issues and people that we've been supporting. So we want to continue that into 2023 and far, far beyond. So y'all just being here, showing up, supporting the channel is an excellent thing. If you want to support the channel materially, you can go to Patreon and do that. You can hit us up on Cash App. Kamal said you can come put the cash right in his hand. whatever works.
I'll make sure it gets to the right people. I'll make sure. I know that was excellent, Kim. I can see why you have a news background or radio background. I know I'm supposed to be doing the news right now. Go ahead, skip it to the news. But I had to stop and be like, that was excellent. The way you ran it down. You are so good at that.
I appreciate that, Mal. Thank you so much. I love broadcasting. That's why I do it for free. that's why I do this. That's why I do it, because I really enjoy it. I love mass communications. I love talking to the masses. I love listening to people first and foremostly. Big up to the people that's in the chat. What's up, Lucy? What's up, Imani? Come through, Dead Man Animations. I see the folks in here. Franny Francais touching down. I love to see it. Come on in here. What's up, Latif? What's up, Kamal? What you got for us news-wise? I'm still putting my email together.
Well, let me start with something that's going to save us all. It's so great that now we do not have to worry, because the Pentagon has come out with a new bomber.
Oh my God.
Pentagon debuts its new stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider. And so I thought it was just important to start this off, because with everything that's happening in the world, one, the fact that the Pentagon has developed a new bomber, and then and which is gearing up towards As it says here, the B-21 is part of the Pentagon's efforts to modernize all three legs of its nuclear triad,
Jesus.
which includes silo-launched nuclear ballistic missiles and submarine-launched warheads,
That's
as it shifts from the counterterrorism campaigns of recent decades to meet China's rapid military modernization. So basically, we're building nuclear weapons and new or updating our nuclear weapons or their nuclear weapons, and ain't my nuclear weapons, updating their nuclear weapons and bombers so that they can get ready to bomb China. And then there's no alarm. What I love about the stories like this is that because it's the United States doing it, there's no alarm, there's no stress, there's no worry about weapons in the wrong hands or the evil intentions of those making the weapons and having the weapons. Imagine if Iran had just announced it had some new nuclear bomb or a bomb already, or was updating or had some sort of nuclear weapon. If it was Israel, there'd be no report whatsoever because no one can say that Israel has nuclear weapons, of course. But in the story in the United States, when the empire says it has a new bomb or a new bomber, then that's to be met with nothing but triumphalism, glee, patriotism, as we can see, like this nice shiny background that it's unveiled in, looking like some Star Wars plane. So it's America's newest nuclear stealth bomber, made its debut Friday after years of secret development, and as part of Pentagon's answer to rising concerns. And there's always a rationale for, of course, why they need a new bomb or a new military outpost. There's always some challenge, and every few years there's a new challenge that America must meet in terms of why it needs more weapons, more military spending, more money for the Pentagon. So it's and then they give you a little background story about the bomber, told in a way as evening fell over the Air Force's plant. The public got
what is this, Dickens?
What
the fuck? Sorry.
No, that's exactly how it was written. And it's like, the Defense Department says this isn't just another airplane. It's the embodiment of America's determination to defend the republic that we all love. So this is an offensive bomber. This is not about defending against attack. This is to go bomb people. So it's not defending anybody. This is an offensive weapon. And so as the B-21 is part of the Pentagon's efforts to modernize all three legs, again, of its nuclear triad. And then it mentions that it says China is rapidly modernizing its military weaponry. And then I'll end up where he says, quote, "We need a new bomber for the 21st century that would allow us to take on much more complicated threats, like the threats we fear we would one day face from China and Russia," said Deborah Lee James, the Air Force Secretary, when the radar was contract was announced in 2015.
Who made this? Who made this bomber?
They have not. Oh, the Grumman Corporation.
Northrop Grumman,
yes.
Usual suspect, one of them.
Yes. No, there's like 3 or 4 big Pentagon arms dealers that literally just make billions and most of these things, of course, never get used.
Mm-hmm.
Even when the U.S. is at war. Mm-hmm. Most of these, particularly these larger piece of equipment, a piece of warfare equipment never gets used. And so basically they make those things and then they just sit there, then they get rusty and old, then they have to repair them, and then they have to go spend money just to keep them by doing other things like that. And then in the end, then they replace them after never using them. But that provides all these jobs and so forth and so on.
So I first saw that story as part of a local news package here. This must have been over the weekend, or maybe it was late last week. And it was a very casual, propagandic, flowery kind of story, like, oh, look at this brand new bomber. But the price tag, Kamal, is what caught my attention. And they mentioned this on the news. One of those bombers cost upwards of $700 million for one. And do you know how many the Pentagon has built or intends to build as part of this fleet, at least as reported by the local news that I saw here? Do you know how many of those $700 million planes they're going to order?
How many?
100. They said, oh, and the Department of the Pentagon is going to get 100 of these. I said 100. Jesus fucking Christ. 100 times 700 million. Do the math. That could have fixed the water everywhere. That could house
Everywhere.
everybody everywhere. That could feed everybody everywhere. It is so gross and disgusting. This country is a death machine. America itself is a death pact. Like dying is what it will rather killing is what this country focuses on. It doesn't focus on democracy or liberty or none of that shit or making sure that everybody has the basic human rights and things that they need to survive. Nope. We get $700 million nuclear bombers.
And
I need it here.
No, like it's and again, these things don't get used for any purpose whatsoever. So they could use that, like you said, that same money for healthcare to fix infrastructure, and then we get some value out. That same money could be used because remember, this is government money that's being paid to these private corporations to build this stuff. So these corporations are getting these contracts to build this stuff that are just going to be put into a warehouse or put in and again flown every now and then to make sure that it still works or it kind of works. And then it's going to go back into the warehouse for the most part. So it's not like this is a use of resources that have some kind of recyclable use that helps the society. They could use that same money to do so many other things, like you said, that could benefit people, but there's no conversation again about where the money's going to come from. Oh my God, how can we spend all this money on that where we have all these other issues? But the moment you talk about, like you said, fixing infrastructure, healthcare, water infrastructure, all of a sudden, all the naysayers come out and say, like, well, we're going to get the money for that.
We're going to get the money. Nobody ever asked where we're going to get the money for 100 nuclear bombers. What a story.
So connected to that, then the next story I have connected to it because we mentioned the word infrastructure. So apparently,
DOJ, are you going to Jackson?
No, I'm going to an attack. What we know about the attack on the 2 North Carolina power substations. So for those who don't know, and many of us, no pun intended, we're in the dark about this, a gunman attack on 2 electrical substations in rural North Carolina has left tens of thousands of people without power, schools closed, a curfew imposed, and authorities investigating what they say was an intentional criminal attack. And so as the outages continued into Monday, questions persisted about who carried out the attack and what could have been the motive in knocking out power to Moore County and its 100,000 residents. And so they talk here about protecting the infrastructure, but it says the outage began shortly after 7 p.m. Saturday night in Cartledge, North Carolina, and soon spread to encompass the majority of the county. The damage to substations could run into the millions of dollars, officials said. About 35,000 customers remained without power Monday afternoon, according to poweroutages.us. And the utility company warned that outages could last through Thursday. Officials have so far stopped short of calling the attack on an act of domestic terrorism, that have insisted that any perpetrators will be prosecuted. Well, if it wasn't an act of domestic terrorism, then what was it? And it says here what we know about the attacks. It says one or more people used a firearm to attack 2 Duke County substations on Saturday evening, causing extensive damage. Authorities have not yet released much other information about the attack, including any information about who carried it out or what the motives have. So you don't know anything about the attack, at least nothing that you're telling us. And it says here the sheriff did say that whoever is responsible knew exactly what they were doing to cause damage that caused the outage that it did. And it says, again, local authorities are investigating the incident with the assistance of the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation and the FBI. Asked whether the incident could be called domestic terrorism, the governor said investigators are looking at every motivation that could have possibly occurred. So right now, basically, they're not saying shit about the causes and the reasons behind, except to infer that the person did know exactly where to go or what to do to successfully knock out power for folks. So I'll stop with that.
So I've seen a number of things floating around social media, and one indicates that there's some white lady. I know that. I'm sorry, I can't pull up her name. I'm trying to scroll my bookmarks here to see if I had actually saved the tweets. But regardless, apparently a woman who was a white woman who was associated with some of these far right fringe groups and made some sort of tongue-in-cheek admission online about she knew why the substations lost power, etc. And apparently there was supposedly a scheduled drag show in the area on Saturday night. So not confirmed. Let me put my journalist hat here on, but not confirmed. Allegedly, these attacks might have been in connection to the drag show and an attempts to stop or disrupt the drag show that was happening in the area. But this has Watts written all over it, Kamal. I mean, I said, oh, well, we know who did this. It was the Watts. Why in the world would anybody else but the Watts come shoot up some shit and commit acts of domestic terrorism? That has the Watts written all over it. And damn it, do you guys know this, chat? Have y'all seen this on social media? I'm trying to find the tweet, but allegedly the sheriff, the Moore County sheriff, is it Moore County? Moore County sheriff visited this woman that I'm describing, and I guess took her word for it that she didn't have nothing to do with it. I don't think we're going to see any arrests in this, Kamal. I think they're going to
I think they're going to be some arrests. There's got to be a lot of videotape. But I agree with you that it must be the whites, because if it was Muslims, if they suspected for 1 second that it was Islam or Muslim or international
black radicals,
they would have been plastered all over the news from 5 seconds later. So they had any information whatsoever on that lead, that would have been what they would have done right away to drum up more scare tactics and reasons why they have to go bomb other places. So that's one reason why, it's like you said, like this, it's far more likely. I can't say exact because we don't have all the information, but if I was a betting person, I would bet that it is the whites, because this information is being held tightly until they can do a narrative that suggests that it was a lone wolf, a single person, two people who colluded together. And they may have had a radical fringe ideology, but they're not connected to anything. So they're just working those leads to get that story, as opposed to potentially that this is part of some organized group that's testing the waters, that's showing what it can do, and that's using this for different purposes, like potentially to scare tactics for other people, or people put up things about how a Walmart was raided shortly after, and other guns were taken. So there's some of this is speculation, but it seems like there's probably a larger angle of the folks who would blow up or attack power stations than potentially lone gun folks. But again, we know that most likely that this is not something dealing with international so-called terrorism, because if it was, it would have been plastered all over by now.
And without a doubt, I'm obviously, this is my opinion, but my guess is that whoever committed these attacks live in the community. They are from that community. I don't know what kind of community Moore County, North Carolina is, but it seems like it's a bit rural. So my guess is that it's a everybody kind of knows everybody kind of community. And that's why I don't think there's going to be any rest. Because as soon as the sheriff finds out that, his hunting buddy's son was the one out there shooting up the substation, you know what I'm saying? They're going to figure out a way. Now, God damn it, I told you to tell Connor about all this domestic terrorism shit, Johnny. I don't want to have to arrest him. I don't want to have to arrest him is what it comes down to. And Connor's not going to get arrested out here. But it's another example of why it's incumbent upon white people to get out there and fight and defeat white supremacy, because just like patriarchy be fucking up men in addition to women, white supremacy be fucking up white people too, because everybody that I saw be interviewed on the news from Moore County who was experiencing these power outages was older white folks talking about what they had to do to stay warm at night because they lost power. And I said, look at these folks out here fucking up their own people. You fucking up your own folks, white folks. So y'all got to defeat white supremacy. You got to get out.
They don't they have bigger aims. They're not worried about grandma. They're about to take back their country. They're not worried about that. Jesus. They got bigger aims right now. So but that's what makes me think they go back and forth with it. Why I think they will be an arrest, because they have to stop, like the powers that be, but particularly at the federal level, have to do something to show that if you start blowing up power plants, that there's going to be some consequences. So I think the feds are going to be eager to try to do something to bring the rest about, because they don't want that kind of action to get that out of hand, where people are now blowing up power plants, which folks have talked about again as a scare tactic for decades, about people going to water treatment plants and power plants, and how those things were targets for so-called terrorism of some kind.
External terrorism, though, right? Like,
Yeah, no, mostly the Muslims, of course. Mostly like worrying up, putting it on all the potential Muslims. But as always, I saw some stat that said, 80 or 90% of all domestic terrorism acts are of all terrorism or domestic terrorism acts, and then the far majority of those are obviously right-wing folks who have the weapons, and again, some skill-based, because they've worked at some of these places. So it seemed like the sheriff was suggesting, like you said, it was somebody either local or very familiar with what to do in terms of what lever to push, what to shoot at, or whatever to do, because they scored a perfect 10 in terms of knocking out the power for 100,000 people in a very short period of time.
And let's be clear, the only group in this country that has a long generational documented history of domestic terrorism are white Americans. White Americans are the biggest domestic terrorists, period, that this country has ever seen. And they founded the country, and then they have continued in the steps of their foremothers and forefathers. So if it's domestic terrorism, the whites had everything to do with it. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the domestic terrorism is how they founded the country, right? So,
and how they
give up
maintain
that
power.
tradition. How they maintain power. No reason to give up that tradition.
And no reason to act as though it ain't them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird to me the ways in which, and it's not weird, but I understand it. But in anyway, it's never framed as these are the folks that have a long history of doing exactly this. Somebody told me that my clip of when Tucker Carlson had put me on the show was circulating around. Someone texted me and told me. And my reply to their text, I said, that was a fun month of death threats in my comments. But at the same time, while I knew that it was a lot of these crackers in my comments selling wolf tickets, I couldn't just completely ignore the threat because of who they are, who they come from, who their grandparents were, who their great grandparents were. Like these are dangerous folks. Make no mistake about it. So you definitely got to watch them and be ready to protect yourself against them. So.
So one more. Oh, go ahead. You want to say?
I was going to say check your email, but if you got another story, go ahead.
I could check the email. I could.
Because this story I saw on AL.com, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Let me know when you got it pulled up, because the state of Alabama thinks that they're doing something here, and I think they're not doing exactly what they think they are doing. So on AL.com, the story, or rather the headline reads, Autism Spectrum Disorder ID card. And what is that? Oh, shit. Sorry. I have a pop-up. Spectrum ID card available in Alabama. How you can get your card. Wait, I'm sorry. What? So they have, the state of Alabama is going to start issuing people autism spectrum disorder cards as ID cards, as a method for people who are autistic or who may have issues expressing themselves verbally, to clearly identify themselves to first responders and law enforcement. And this is what the piece says. It says Alabamans who have a diagnosis that falls within the autism spectrum disorder spectrum have access to a special identification card. Alabama has created and implemented the first state recognized autism identification card in the United States. The cards, distributed by county health departments, can assist with interactions with first responders and law enforcement officers during potentially stressful situations such as a traffic stop. And then it goes on to say, it says, wording on the card explains that the holder falls within the autism spectrum and may have difficulty communicating or understanding directions. The card also states that the person could become agitated if touched because of his or her medical conditions. The billfold size cards also contain the contact information for someone who can confirm the diagnosis, so that's interesting, as well as give information that could help calm the individual. Before a card can be issued, a healthcare provider, such as a psychologist, pediatrician, or family doctor, must verify that the person is on the autism spectrum. The autism spectrum card registration form may be downloaded, printed, and brought to any county health department. Adult drivers are to come in person and bring their driver's license when applying for that particular autism identification card. Parents or caretakers of children or dependent adults should take their child or adult family member and government issued ID to apply. I think that on the surface, this sounds good. It's given me a couple of vibes. First of all I'm thinking about is a person who has this identification card, especially a person who is Black, a person who may be agitated, a person who may not be able to express themselves in the clearest ways verbally. This person going in their pockets and trying to locate this card, and the police using lethal force because I couldn't see their hands. They were digging in their pockets for something, et cetera, et cetera. That's one concern I have about this. The second concern I have about this, it's giving me big concentration camp vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody with the yellow card, please report to the convention center and board a bus. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that either. But maybe this is helpful. I'm dubious. Kamal, what are your thoughts?
Similarly, the first thing I thought is like, so if I'm looking around for this card and showing, the cops don't care at that particular stage, and in fact, once they get the card, they'll be like, "Oh, see, this person was a danger."
Yep.
Or it almost verifies that this person had some issue, and how was I to know what they were searching for, looking for? So yeah, I don't know if I like it so much. I don't like the wording. I don't think it comes in handy when people think it's going to be necessary or needed. So again, I'm not quite sure if that's the solution to the issue, as opposed to not having police respond to medical emergencies, or much of anything, to be honest. But not having them respond to medical emergencies that involve mental health or issues of such. Stop pulling people over to the degree that you do. I think the less contact that people have with police, the better off they will be, as opposed to thinking that somehow issuing a yellow card that, again, and also can act as a label when folks are not necessarily trying to be labeled as such. So I don't know if these things, and again, if it's an Alabama solution, most likely it's a misgiving of a solution. So I'm not crazy about it either. And again, like you said, like, we haven't seen any studies as to how this works, how this is supposed to be effective. But on its surface, it seems like a really kind of weird way to solve an issue or problem of folks being confronted and or attacked because of their mental illness or something going on or issue that they're having, as opposed to being supported or helped. Because again, people are not going to see the card until after the fact, most likely. Which I don't want to encourage them to say, like, then let's put a label, let's make them pin something on their chest. You know what I mean? Like, because that's usually the outcome's like, oh, that's the issue, so then let's do this instead, kind of thing. And it does give creepy vibes. Yeah.
I don't like this. I mean, like I said, part of me can appreciate wanting to distinguish people who may be suffering from mental health challenges, but the police are not compassionate figures when dealing with people experiencing mental health crisis, period. So I don't see how this card would change a police approach to dealing with somebody, because at the end of the day, if somebody is quote unquote acting out, the police are going to respond accordingly, and they don't care what their mental health crisis is. We've seen so many Black people especially be in mental health distress. Family members who have called the police to the situation to help have told the police, this person is experiencing a mental health crisis. I need your help to deal with them. And so many times these people end up getting killed because it like you said, it's an excuse. Again, my opinions about mental health and destigmatization and transparency around mental health is very mixed, because I appreciate people coming disclosing what their mental health crisis is, what it looks for them, what's like for them to experience being in the world with these particular issues. But again, on the other side, to me, that's let you have a bad day. Okay, let you have a bad day, and you have been very vocal about your mental health issues, and for some reason the police need to get involved. And then when the situation happens, the excuse is going to be like, oh, well, they were depressed, they had anxiety, they were, da 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 da. And I just see it as a double-edged sword being used against people as justification for why they were treated brutally by law enforcement.
I agree completely. So speaking to somebody who never treats us in a brutal fashion, except when they give their opinions.
And here comes my opinion. Nah, good points though, Kim. Definitely on that, especially if they reaching for something. It's just like cops just give them a reason to shoot. That's wild. I did want to bring up something since we were talking about well, it don't even matter what we were talking about. I did want to bring up this story that happened in Atlantic Station real quick about these two kids that actually, you got Zion Charles, who was 12 years old, and Cameron Jackson, who was 15, just lost their lives. Gunned down over in Atlantic Station and right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So the question I have for y'all is, how old were you? And I know it's a different time, but how old were you when you were able to leave the house unsupervised?
Young.
Right?
I think maybe 6 or 5.
Yeah.
I was going to say like 8 or 9.
Yeah, because I remember as long as my dad would yell out the window like "ear doctor," I would hear him and I would run home.
You would yell out "ear doctor"? Is that what you
yelling out no ear doctor?
but I was far enough down the street where I could hear my father still yell out my name and I'd be running home. But I mean, like for projects, kids, and you would have to get on buses, trains by yourself, unsupervised, and walk through different territories.
Things that I think I did young, it's weird because I would never think about letting my kids do. Like, they don't walk nowhere. Like, we live in the suburbs. They don't walk anywhere by themselves. I'm walking with them, like to a friend's house. It's only recently that I started allowing that as I'm peeking through the window. But, before the projects, like, we lived in an apartment building or whatever in Crown Heights. But I remember, elementary school, kindergarten, first grade, at least, going to school by myself, which is probably like 5 or 6 blocks up. My sister may or may not have been walking along with me sometimes. Like you said, going around the corner, and the way that you knew it was time to come up because it was getting dark or whatever. My mom was like literally yelling out the window around the corner, not downstairs, around the corner.
And you would hear it.
Yeah, and your job was to be in earshot, because if she wasn't in earshot, that means she had to come downstairs, and there was going to be some problems.
Right.
So now but that was, but it was in some weird ways, is like, but you knew everybody else on the block. It wasn't like shit wouldn't happen though, right? It wasn't like some other kids who were older. I remember one time I probably was like closer to 8 or 9, but me and my boys, me and my friend, we were like just like, going behind the buildings and all that kind of stuff, and ran into a crew, and they took out some razors and put them through our throats. Like, they're probably 13-year-olds. But it was more like, a test, and just to act like they were tough or whatever like that. So it wasn't like there was like some fraught with danger shit, just because of the conditions and everything. But for the most part, it was just like, you were just living, you know what I mean? And shit would happen, and then shit would get resolved, or, it was just that's just how it was. Yeah.
You grew up in the Warriors movie, Kamal.
Pretty much.
This shit would happen. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like an everyday occurrence, but there were, I've seen people get shot, or like, and it, it's like people, this dude who owns a store, this was in the projects, this dude, back as we used to say, the Arab, he got shot. I think he got shot by his own brother. It wasn't even like some robbery shit or like that. Him and his brother got into a fight. But anyway, he was on the floor bleeding. And it was almost like an exhibit. Like, people would walk by, check him out. I'm serious, like in his leg, waiting for the ambulance, and but then you had to go do your thing.
Wow.
Wasn't like a lot of assistance was offered. It was just more like a interesting. And then,
New York state of mind.
yeah, he's like, I'm late.
Oh, somebody's over in the corner bleeding.
My
Yo,
sitcom is coming on now.
grab me a Fanta. Grab me some chips, yo.
A quart of water.
A quart
Hey,
of water.
all right, so yeah, I just had to bring that up real quick. So say their names: Zion Charles and
Yeah,
Cameron
it's sad
Jackson.
though.
Yeah, no doubt.
How
All right.
many of these teenagers, I mean, not to cut you off, ear doctor, but here in DC too, especially over the past couple of months, I'm talking about 14, 15, 13-year-olds getting shot and killed out here. And I know that's not nothing new, but unfortunately, it's ongoing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what to do about that.
Go send them to the Black Man Lab, and we'll have a conversation with them, and hopefully we get their minds right. And that's what we're working on doing right now, expanding it so it could get to different places, so we can.
And I know it's controversial for us to talk about, but I think the proliferation of guns is an issue. You know what I mean? Like again, people ain't using these guns for revolutionary purposes. Just the ability to solve your issues or problems by whether it's road rage, whether it's a robbery, whether I'm just trying to show them tough, whatever it is, but just to have that kind of killing force at your disposal, just like that, I think this doesn't happen around the world to other places. It's only in a crazy society that was built this way that this kind of stuff takes place. So,
but also, acknowledge the role of patriarchy here, because it is boys killing boys. You know what I'm saying? Boys are the ones taking these guns and shooting other boys by and large. And I don't know how our young men are socialized to believe that this is the resolution. This is how you do conflict resolution. This is how you deal with your emotions. This is how you deal with rejection or humiliation, to go get a gun and shoot whoever you perceive has aggrieved you in some way. Like this is not a gender equal thing. Girls are not resolving their problems in the same way. And I think we really need to have a serious conversation about the way the boys are socialized and the ways that they are not processing and dealing with their emotions and going to guns to do that.
No doubt. And with that said, let's take our quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. First of all, I would like to thank all those who stopped by this Sunday for Sunday's radio. We had another good time. I did a call out. Ain't nobody answer their phone this time, but we're gonna see who we're gonna get on the line next time. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about right here, right now, was with certain albums that I would go to and be like, yo, this was a classic album. So as a DJ, I wanted to put y'all on some of the ones that I thought was a classic album. And we'll start off today with a classic album by this brother who goes by the name of, which was a trivia question I had on Sunday's radio this Sunday, is no other than Bilal. His album, First Born Second. Now, this album pretty much came out in July 27, 2001 by Interscope Records. He actually recorded this album in Electric Lady Studios. That's right, same one, Jimi Hendrix in New York. A whole bunch of producers was on this. We talking about Dr. Dre, Raphael Sadiq, Jay Dilla, and more. And the genres that this falls under is so far and wide. You could call it soul music, rhythm and blues. It has tones of hip hop, neo soul, jazz, funk, contemporary R&B, quiet storm, and fusion. Everything. So if you haven't checked this album or checked out Bilal, please do. This is a banger. It has 16 tracks on it. So with that said, check it out. First Born Second. All right, now let's get back to the Remix Morning Crew.
I only want you, 'cause you're all that I got.
I wish I wasn't me.
All right.
I wish I wasn't me. Sometimes I wish I was drug free. Sometimes.
All right.
All the exits on first. Sometimes.
Yo, and you talk
Straight
about the neo soul movement.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Maxwell, Soul Child,
Erica.
Erica Badu, Jill Scott.
Yes.
Man. Yeah.
What's my man who blew up on the drugs? D'Angelo.
Who blew up on the drum.
I'm just saying, like, it's a testament. But no, that was a great time period of music. I'm shocked Bilal didn't get a longer run. Him and it was to do Raheem. Remember Raheem?
Raheem Devon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but actually, Bilal came out with about 5-6 albums. You just never heard them.
I was gonna say, albums that mattered. I'm just saying. Besides that one.
Jesus.
I know. Hey, he's great in concert. One of the greatest I've seen.
I believe that.
Hitting different vocal ranges and stuff like that. Man,
I got a picture with Bilal somewhere in here. When
he first came out, he reminded me of a young Prince.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
No, he should have been a bigger artist. I think that hugely talented. I don't know if there was contract disputes. Obviously, like black artists, white machinery, they don't give a fuck about your career that as strongly, whatever. I think there's all that in play. But I mean, a huge talent, like no doubt about that.
Definitely.
I mean, Maxwell has had and still has, an ongoing, successful career, musically speaking, and has had enough hits where he can
a long hiatus. Yeah,
but he has enough hits where he can come back and just. I mean, he's never going to be like a top 40 dude again, but he has such a collection that he can, go do a concert or something, and folks going to show out for him.
No doubt. So
all I heard, he's like Maxwell's he's like a Prince height. How come all these short dudes got these light voices?
And they wear high heels. Because they are short.
Is Maxwell short?
I heard Maxwell was mad short. He's a short dude. Who's the Maxwell today? Is it the dude what's the Weekend?
Oh Lord.
Nope. Don't do that. No comparison.
I don't think so, son. Because that gentleman can't actually sing to me. You know what I mean? Like his voice. Again, we've had this conversation about, everybody gets a trophy these days. It don't matter if you can actually sing, you get to be a singer. It don't matter if you can actually rap, you get to be a rapper. That gentleman cannot sing. He can't hold a note. I'm sure the kids love him. What's the other one that y'all love, children? The Frank Ocean?
Oh, Frank Ocean's nice. Yo, come on now. Don't do that. Maybe I'm stuck on the production and the sound of the music because it sounds great. Like that Channel Orange album was dope. The second one, Blonde, it wasn't all that good. But yeah.
People going back and forth in the chat. Some folks are like, yes, with Weekend. Some folks are like, hell no.
I don't think so. I'm gonna pass. Hard pass. Yeah, and I was very confused as to how he got to do the Super Bowl. And it was a very underwhelming Super Bowl performance. I said, well, that's what you get when you put a nigga up there that can't sing.
I think it ain't always about singing.
That's the problem.
I mean, yes, it's definitely not that.
Yeah, sometimes about how it sounds, the melody of it, and how it hits your ears with.
Somebody lying. They saying Maxwell is 5'10". I ain't hear Maxwell no 5'.
I think so. Maxwell doesn't strike me as a shorty because I remember seeing him in concert once. Now this was in 1997. But
and how far back were you?
I was right there. I was right in front. I was in front. I was in front at the Warner Theater for Washingtonians who may know. I never forget that show. But no, Maxwell, he didn't come off as a shorty. What was the other thing I was about to say? I forgot now.
It didn't matter.
Shut up. Shut up. But no, you talk about it don't matter if you can sing. Have you guys seen that clip floating around of allegedly leaked audio vocals of Jennifer Lopez rehearsing for the Whitney Houston tribute? And I said, this epitomizes everything that I've been complaining about the music industry for the past 25 years, because J-Lo has the look of a singer, in the 21st century, but she does not actually have the vocals, and people keep inviting her to sing places, and I'm very confused. On one hand, I know if you invite Jennifer Lopez, she's going to show up looking amazing.
Show is going to be dope. A stage show is going to be dope.
No, it's not. If you can't sing, Okay, well then put her in a chorus line then, ear doctor. Let me show up and watch her dance. Okay, like I take offense to people who can't sing and expect like money and praise for their non-vocal ability. It's so weird. Like, let her show up and do the red carpet. Let her do what she does best, and that's wear clothes. Okay, she is an amazing clothes wearer. We have not seen somebody wear clothes like Jennifer Lopez, maybe ever. Okay, but let her do that. That's her talent. Stop suggesting us to her singing voice. It's rude.
She's had a series of hits, right? Jenny on the Block. Like how many hits she had?
Come on, y'all.
And she's worldwide. Where she is.
Knock it off. Like I was so offended on behalf of Shakira that Shakira had to share the billing with Jennifer Lopez. I know Shakira, like, I can't believe they done put me next to this fucking non-singing ass bitch. Shakira is a world star. Jennifer Lopez, no.
But Jennifer Lopez felt the same way. She was like, I'm a bigger star than her. Why you got this girl? Why you get this?
She was wrong.
Whatever. She was wrong.
She was wrong. Imagine Jennifer Lopez thinking she got as much global play as Shakira. Shakira. Come on.
Hey, Jennifer Lopez, come to Black Power Media and defend yourself against Kim, man.
Why? All she's gonna do is stunt her money on me. That's it. That's what Brooke to say.
If that video was real, though, that was mad. Like, I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy right now.
She gonna outstyle
you. Can we find that video? Can we find that clip and maybe hit it? Can we?
Yeah, maybe your next break. You got to find that.
I'll see if I can pull it up. Let me get up out of here. Let y'all get to some more news. Peace.
All right.
Thank you. Because I need my point proven. Because all we got to do is play that clip, and I win. The argument is won. I'm telling you, Kamau, I feel like I really get angry when people who lack said talent, especially entertainment talent, people who are purported to us to be great actors and can't act, or great singers and can't sing, or great rappers and can't rap. Like the standards are so distorted these days. It's just like everybody gets to do everything, and then if you say something critique about it, oh, you just a hater, why you hate J-Lo, then nigga. And that's the other thing. Hey, doctor, come back up here real quick, because y'all was talking about J-Lo got the hit. I need y'all to act like y'all know how payola works, okay? Y'all know what payola is. Y'all know what it does. Y'all know what payola is capable of achieving out here. So don't talk to me about J-Lo got hits. J-Lo's label had that payola money to make sure she got them spins that, you know when you pay for your billboard spot.
You don't think somebody you don't think somebody was like, yo, like someone else put like a performer, even like Janet Jackson, right? Janet Jackson, people say she was not a great singer,
Facts.
right? But
great performer,
dancer. She had the lineage, so somebody could carve out a whole career for her. Is that similar? No.
So no, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Janet has a voice. Does Janet have a great voice? Does Janet have a spectacular voice? Does Janet have a Whitney Houston level caliber type of singing voice? No, she doesn't. But Janet Jackson can carry a tune. You know what I'm saying? Like, she not gonna be always searching for the note. I don't know what Jennifer Lopez was doing in that clip. Janet, chat. We gonna meet outside of Kamau house. Kamau gotta come outside and answer for that. How dare you even compare Janet Jackson and Jennifer Lopez?
It's like the Aretha Franklin way back. It's like the Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross thing, right?
Yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, Diana Ross was never a great singer. She had a squeaky voice.
Yeah,
but she could carry a tune. There was a lot of promotions put around her.
That's right.
Look, she was fucking Barry Gordy. He put a lot of money. He put a lot of whatever, trying to hide that baby or whatever. So there was a lot done to help advance her career. She got into movies. Aretha had to make it simply off of talent, simply because you could not deny that this woman could blow the fucking roof down in church, in person, anywhere. All she needed was material, but she had to make it strictly off of talent. Nobody was helping her otherwise.
That's right.
Let me get up out of here, man, and leave all on this.
So let yourself go and get right with me. Sign you up, we can get right.
Damn, she's like a modern day Aretha. That was jokes. That was just for you.
Look, I'm fine. I'm trying to find the cursor right now so I can hang up. I'm about to hang up on y'all. Anyway, I used to. Oh my God, I'm getting the PTSD just remembering having terrible Jennifer Lopez songs. Oh My God. And then again, I feel bad for the younger people. Again, all y'all who came up in y'all were in middle school, high school, listening to the radio, listening to Jennifer Lopez and Ashanti, and y'all thinking y'all hearing vocals and y'all hearing really good.
You don't think Ashanti can sing?
Stop. Cut it out, Kamal.
I like
Kamal.
Ashanti.
You can like her all she wants. Like Ashanti and Jennifer Lopez are very much in the same category. Beautiful gowns, great gowns, gorgeous gowns, beautiful gowns, right? But the fact that Ashanti fans will come to me as proof and be like, oh, it was Ashanti vocals filling in for Jennifer Lopez. Kids, it's not the flex that you think it is, okay? Like, that's not the flex that you think it is, okay? Because that means we have two sets of very unimpressive vocals. Again, beautiful women. These bitches can dress. These bitches can serve looks. They can give ass. They can do all of that. But can they carry the tune? The answer is no. It's no.
What about Brandy? Brandy
can sing her face off.
Oh, okay. You give her a little something. Okay.
Brandy can stop it.
Oh, he had to go back again.
Brandy could sing. Brandy could sing. Yo, check this out real quick.
I'd always dream. No.
Okay, that's J-Lo. Okay, that's she told Time that she will be doing a tribute to Whitney Houston.
Okay.
And it only gets worse from there. She does that like 4 or 5 times in a row where she can't find the note to carry. If that's
she can't find a note that she was Sherlock Holmes, bro. I'm out of here.
She must be pissed off that was released, B. If that's real.
Was it a secret? Nobody knew that Jennifer Lopez couldn't carry a note? Like it was, this is breaking news to everybody 25 years after the fact. And you know what? Shame on the Grammys. And I have not verified that this is true, but is it true that this is her vocal rehearsals are for a tribute to Whitney Houston?
I obviously can't verify but if it is the case, I also don't know why she was chosen to give a tribute to somebody like her. If she cannot carry a note the way Whitney Houston in any generation. So I don't even know why that would be. Who sat there and went like, who should give this tribute? It should be Jennifer Lopez.
J-Lo would kill this Whitney.
Who did that?
Right. She gonna kill it, all right. Whitney in her grave. Whitney gonna sit up. Whitney's going to show up. You're going to see Whitney's ghost on stage, snatching microphones like ain't no fucking way. Don't put my name on this, in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, I'm going to leave it alone in a second, but one more. Beyonce.
What? I mean, again, I'm not too crazy about Beyonce's voice, but can Beyonce sing? Can she carry a tune? Can she hit notes? Yes. I'm actually a bigger fan of her voice now because her voice has gotten way more interesting because she's gotten a little older. It's got some depth and a little bit of texture to it. But like that Dangerously in Love, like I wasn't big on that. And Beyonce, please, Jesus God, Beehive. I swear to God, I don't want it, but I'm just telling you, her voice doesn't do it for me, but I do not dispute that Beyonce can sing.
Okay, we can go back to the news now. I'm satisfied.
Jesus, let me calm down. I need to go roll me a J. I'm all excited. Somebody became a member. Who is this? Come through, Terrence. Thank you so much for becoming a BPM member. And gang, if you want to get like cool ass Terrence, you could also hit the join button under the video, I believe. And that gets you a BPM membership that also helps to support the channel. So is that. Who said B can't sing like that? The Gerard. Y'all get him.
There might be a couple in there coming out with the truth.
I mean, but it is the truth. I mean, but it's cool. But that's okay. I don't like to go too hard on Beyonce because I respect her artistry. I think in terms of visual artistry, like Beyonce is the best out here. I even think Beyonce, an argument could easily be made, is the best living performer that we have right now. Like I'm trying to think who is number 2.
After Michael Jackson, she is.
Living, my G. Living, my G. Okay, he ain't got nothing.
I'm playing dead.
No, Beyonce is the best living performer out here. Like I don't even dispute that, and I own none of her music. But I respect her. I respect her as an artist. I do respect her as an artist. So, but the rest of them gals, beautiful gowns, great gowns, gorgeous gowns. What you got there, Kamal?
Okay, so news-wise,
Yeah.
I'll do a story from our run sheet because this was just interesting to me.
Hmm.
New Orleans,
Nolan's.
New Orleans. Um, is that how they know? Like, is that how they do it? They do New Orleans.
Nolan's.
So
New
they
Orleans.
call it a biometric gate
Sorry.
check, commonly known as facial recognition. Customs and Border Patrol have been using that
I
technology
didn't mean for this to pop
process
up.
more
So
than
make sure it was
Oh, I'm like, is this the story? No.
It could have been a story, but basically, New Orleans reverses facial recognition ban to help police fight crime. Privacy experts are wary. So, New Orleans city leaders passed an ordinance outlawing the technology in 2020, but now, only 2 years later, it looks like the claim is as violent crime continues to plague New Orleans, investigators have been given another tool.
Oh
And
my
so,
God.
this is a Fox News story, so you have to see how it's going to be presented, of course. To help solve cases following a reversal over the summer of a ban on facial recognition software, despite privacy, civil rights, and accuracy concerns from detractors. The New Orleans Police Department began training officers on the software. It's always a bad sign.
Oh, fuck.
Over the summer, but its use will be limited in scope to prevent potential abuses. New Orleans Police Sergeant David Barnes told Fox News Digital. He noted that the technology is not used to prevent crime or for purposes of probable cause, but instead to aid in investigations of crimes that have already occurred. We cannot make an arrest or get a search warrant or anything based on a facial recognition match. Barnes said, well, that's only due time, I guess. The only
Or
thing
they can shoot somebody. They can shoot on sight. Hey, the
Mhm.
the software said that was our suspect. Pow pow.
Exactly. The only thing it does is provide us a possible ID of someone so that we can continue the investigation. So it may not be probable cause, but it is what they consider to be reasonable suspicion, apparently. And what we know about reasonable suspicion when it happens in person, and someone gets stopped and questioned, that has led to a tremendous amount of abuse, not only people losing their lives, but false arrests in literally the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, particularly in New York City, but across the country. So the idea that they're going to use this tool as a further investigative tool, it does cause a lot of issues and problems and concerns, particularly, again, with the data that is outlawing this facial recognition, is that it is because of the way it was built for white people, for white faces. The use of it on black folks and black faces and brown folks and brown faces has constantly been shown to be of a higher probability of error, because it wasn't designed like that. And in order to make it better, it means that they will be the same way in which they collect fingerprints, they collect ID, they collect information on people. The way they collect DNA. So it sounds to me like there's also the possibility that there will be a lot more facial recognition collection of information in order to have another warehouse of storage of information on people and their faces.
Which is particularly egregious in a city like New Orleans that is majority black. So we have this software, this technology that has already been proven to not be effective reading black faces or identifying black people. So in this majority black city, you're going to deploy this technology to be used by the police of all people, the police of all people. The only time that the facial recognition, I think, worked at its most optimal was during January 6th because it read who it was designed to read. It was picking up them white people's faces left and right. It was calling them, but no, this is bad. And the New Orleans police already has a horrible reputation. Well, I guess all police have a horrible reputation for routine brutality and abuse of the citizens. And this is just a way to further exasperate that. And again, I don't understand why they keep training these dumbass fucking cops. Like, these cops have proven themselves not to be, the greatest scholars out here when it comes to training, or maybe they are the greatest scholars, but depending on your perspective. But stop trying to train these dumb motherfuckers on shit that they are not equipped to use. And this is bad. Who overturned this again? I'm sorry. So this
The
was
city
approved.
council. The city council.
They reversed themselves.
Yes. Less than 2 years. And so here it says really quickly, facial recognition has been proven. This is a quote. to back up what we were saying, has been proven to misidentify black faces at higher rates than white ones. Eye on Surveillance, a coalition of local community groups opposed to the expansion of the facial recognition software, told Fox News. Black people are overrepresented in mugshot data, with facial recognition tech uses to make predictions. The presence of Black people in such systems creates a feed-forward loop whereby racist policing strategies lead to disproportionate arrests of Black people who are then subject to future surveillance. And that there are serious Fourth Amendment concerns with the use of facial recognition and other invasive surveillance tools that could allow the police to surveil protesters, witnesses of crime, or abortion seekers without a warrant. So, like you said, so this is bad news. It's not something that we can expect to work for the betterment of our community. But again, this is with the camp, and then I'm assuming New Orleans is like other cities, with the proportion of public cameras zeroing in on people's faces. Again, the mug shots, the use of this technology. This is all about creating a database of human beings, mostly Black and brown human beings, but everybody will get caught up in this. And so the same time you hear stories about China again, and that how China is under surveillance by its government and how terrible that government is. Here, when you hear these stories, again, in terms of the media propaganda, it's always linked to this is a crime prevention tool and not a surveillance of people tool, when we know damn well that this collection of data is not only collected by private companies, but public agencies, mostly policing agencies, to do nothing but keep a watch and surveil on people in various activities and walks of life, including organizers and activists and movement people who we've already known for decades. There's always been an established list of people and surveillance and investigations and records, but this will only add to that.
So I know New Orleans has a Black woman mayor. I'm going to assume at least half of the city council might be Black. Correct me in the chat if you guys know for certain. These are Democrats doing this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not that this is a shock to any of us. Just for the observational purposes. Like all this anti-crime stuff are being enacted against Black people by Black elected Democrats.
No, that is so spot on. Like, we talk about what happens at the state level and the federal level, but it's these surveillance programs are usually implemented. I mean, they may have some support from the state, they may have some support from the feds, but they're usually implemented through the city and counties, and who are always, particularly when majority Black cities for the most part, or even substantial Black populations, by these so-called liberal legislators who are, if not Black themselves, are so-called like white liberals, but Democrats,
Yes.
overwhelmingly Democrats, who continually also hold up this fear of crime to give the police more money, to put more money into these technologies, not to put more money into affordable housing, not to put more money into services, not to put more money into creating jobs for folks. That's not where the money goes. Not for homeless services. That's not where the money goes. The money goes into the police.
So, Kamal, can I ask you a question as an organizer and your experience organizing and doing political education? How can we convince our people in Black communities that the police literally do not keep us safe? You know, like again, and I know a lot of this is propagandized and cherry picked by the local media across the country. But again, I consistently, after incidents of gun violence, will see man on the street interviews of Black residents saying we need more police out here. They don't have enough cops out here. We need more police out here. But that's all they got out there is cops. You understand? So what is the pitch? What is the process that we do to convince people who may be non-political but understand that this is not what they want in their communities in terms of the gun violence, but to understand that the police don't do anything to reduce that gun violence. In fact, in a lot of cases, in places that are heavily occupied by police, those places usually have higher rates of gun violence. So the police don't do anything to stem that. So what is the pitch that you have found, or the the method or the approach to telling people who may be saying that we want more police in our communities? How do you dissuade them of that?
Yeah, I mean, one is like you got to be in the communities, right? And you got to create these alternatives, whether or not there's alternatives to policing, there's alternatives to finding services, there's resources that we can give, there's constant organizing that's happening. Because other than that, you're going to lose the battle. You're going to lose the propaganda war, because the propaganda war will be all the news shows that they get, all the TV shows that they get. Everything is going to point towards the world is a dangerous place. There's crime afoot, and the police are your guardians and saviors. And so there is, I feel like there is in our folks and other folks, but particularly in our folks, a natural distrust of policing agencies. We already know that. We already know that folks, like, we got our code of ethics and all that kind of stuff. We already know how people feel about the police in general. But until we create the alternatives that lessen the impact of people feeling the need to call the police or feeling that they don't have any choice, then we're going to always be back in that struggle, right? So it's all about us getting right back in those communities in mass and proving our point. And I think usually because of all the damage that the police has done to our community, if we can raise to a level of having enough sustained impact, then we definitely can bring people over. But it's about having that sustained impact. It can't be fly by night. It can't be I'm here one day, I'm going to next. It's got to be I'm constantly here battling with you, working through the problems, working through the issues. You can come knock on our door. You know where we're at. You know where our offices are. Where you know where the places where we have our community places are. And that you can see us as a vital part of the community. We got to do that. Otherwise, it's not going to sustain itself.
Okie dokie. So head to the next story, or are we at break time?
I think the ear doctor is coming on for a break.
We can do a real quick one. Let's do a real
quick one.
Yeah, let's do a real quick one and get back to some more stories because I'm enjoying y'all news flow. All right. So right here on the Remix Morning Show, we'll do a little quick music break. Real quick. We're going to take you to the west side where it's nice and sunny. Let's go.
West side.
Once again, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show as we rock out for you and yours as we take you to the west side. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor and I came here to rock you. Let's go, let's go.
Ever since you was a pee-wee down by my knee with a wee-wee. You been Gucci cool all through school, you and Nietzsche. Back in the day, you made practical jokes, so everybody smoke with they lumps and they yokes, so. Ooh, tell me when to go. 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 Looking at my girlfriend's black skin. You wanna jump in, but she don't like white men. So don't throw that work, you fucking jerk, or get your punk devil ass hurt, motherfucker. She ain't with the pale face, cause y'all fuck at a snail's pace, and you might get sprayed with mace from the ebony. So when she's doing her job, you better let her be. Don't try to pick the gluteus, thinking that you're about to knock out the uterus, cause she'll tell you to kiss her ass quick. And where I'm from, devils get their ass kicked. Mr. Sexual Harassment, asking for a blow, and when the answer is look no, looks like you want to terminate. But that's when I go psycho like Norman Bates.
Little bit of West Side riding out. We right there. We had a little bit of Tupac, a little bit of the Bay Area's finest E40, and no other than Ice Cube with that death certificate right there. So let's get back to our Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. Yeah. Where we at?
I saw a little bit of controversy about E40 over on social media. People were I don't even know the context, but people were debating about whether or not E40 is a legend, a rap legend, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. You may not like the flow, you may not like whatever, but go out to the Bay Area.
Go to the Bay and say that. Come on, him, Too Short, Mac Dre. All those are legends out there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But
I love it.
Cube,
Cube.
Cube is the king of the West Coast.
Woo, that Death
Cube
Certificate
was
album, man.
Cube was
That's
the
when I
king.
was.
I don't know what happened to him with the family comedies. I mean, I guess he needed to make that money, but Cube was the king of the West Coast. He brought the West Coast and the East Coast together at one point
He did.
with his
He did.
collabs with like PE and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened. That dude was fire at one point.
And now
Well,
he wants to work with Trump.
well, you know, they all got a group together now.
Who? Him and Donald Trump?
You
Him, Donald Trump, and Kanye.
Too Short, E40, Snoop Dogg, and Ice Cube got a group together.
What's it called?
What is it? Mount Rushmore of West Coast, something like that.
Nothing ain't nobody gonna listen to. I think that's the name of it.
Yo,
Something
they've
ain't
been
nobody gonna
on.
listen to no more.
They've been on tour, man. They've been doing their thing. I mean, yeah, it's like a bunch of uncles getting together and
Yeah, exactly. Talking about their old football days, their high school football days. I mean, it's a bigger level. It's a bigger, it's a bigger.
I remember when I had them hoes.
Oh Lord.
I had 4 platinum albums.
That's right, Mount
1989.
Rushmore.
Hey, speaking of the uncles, can we big up the auntie? Jill Scott has announced that she is taking her anniversary of the release of Who is Jill Scott on tour. It is the 22nd anniversary of her debut album. The reason she's doing the 22nd anniversary is because the 20th anniversary was shut down by the pandemic. So she wasn't able to tour at year 20, but it is year 22. I saw Jill looking amazing on the Today Show. She looked so gorgeous when she was announcing her concert. So all I want to know is who's coming with me. I want to know is who's coming with me.
She'll be here May 4th in Atlanta. I'm getting my tickets. All right.
I'm telling you, Jill Scott was white. What's that British woman? What's that British
Adele?
woman? Adele. I mean, basically, all that money that Adele has made, is doing Jill Scott. All that money is just because she did Jill Scott and she was white. That's Jill Scott's money. She's go beat her ass or something like that. Not literally, of course, but maybe literally. I feel like Jill Scott would beat somebody's ass though.
Jill is from North Philly. Don't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
And I've heard her shows are quite lit.
Yeah, Ellie Dilly. They are. They're one of the best shows I ever been to.
Yeah.
All right. With that said,
Don't go yet. Don't go yet.
Oh.
Don't go. Wait a minute, because I want you to be on. In the background, you just got paid a huge compliment, Kim. Not you here, doctor. I just want you here for it. Nobody.
Yeah, doctor, you stay and you listen to Kim's compliments.
You stay to get Kim, so you can hear Kim get her flowers.
Oh shit.
What they gonna talk about the lava lamp? Go ahead, keep going.
No. Agatha was saying how she's a huge fan. Against my wife, how she's a huge fan of yours. And that you say things in public that she, would only say in private. She says worse things in private. That's not a discussion. But I just want you to know, like you got like in the background when I'm being told what I should be saying and how I'm dragging on too long or whatever it is, that you got a real fan. So just let you know that.
And tell her I'm a fan of hers as well. Her work is reflected in what is on the screen, and I appreciate it because I know it was a lot of hard work. I know it was many years to get this product to where it is now, and I see the vision. I respect what you've done out here, and please tell her the love is all reciprocated because that's a hard working woman. I can tell.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
I mean, I was just showing a picture of her work.
Y'all are funny. Oh my goodness, that's tremendously. Thank you for that, Kamal. Thank you. I needed a little bit of sunshine on a dreary day. That was what's up.
Whatever I can do.
Later.
Thank you. Go to that Florida politics story, floridapolitics.com story that I sent you, because this is kind of an interesting development that is happening down in the area of Florida. So in Andrew Warren's suspension trial, Governor DeSantis and his officials answer, what is woke? What does woke mean? What does woke mean? And I really, it kind of really grinds my gears to hear these conservatives always throw out woke. I said, y'all can't even bite y'all this is good. Y'all can't even bite pejoratives. Like all y'all do is steal. You can't even come up with your own shit. It's a slang term for active and progressive activism. So what does woke mean? This is as part of a lawsuit that is happening down in Florida. It's a question that liberals and progressives would like to ask Republicans, in whose ubiquitous use of the term woke, which is a phrase, originally used by progressives to signify an awareness of racial and economic injustice endemic to U.S. society, has turned the word I keep scrolling up has turned the word into a 4-letter pejorative. So during the 3-day trial this week challenging Governor Ron DeSantis' suspension of Hillsborough County District Attorney Andrew Warren, attorneys for Warren were able to put the question to aides of DeSantis, who called Florida the place where woke goes to die, in his victory speech after being reelected last month. Jean-Jacques Cabot, who is Warren's attorney, noted that DeSantis referred to Warren in his announcement of the suspension as, quote, a woke ideologue who masquerades as a prosecutor. Then he asked some DeSantis officials what woke means to them. Taryn Fensky, who is DeSantis's communications director, said that woke was a slang term for activism, progressive activism, and a general belief in systems of systemic injustices in the country. Ryan Newman, who is DeSantis's general counsel, echoed that part about systemic injustices, specifically regarding the criminal justice system. Quote, to me, it means someone who believes that there are systemic injustices in the criminal justice system, and on that basis, they can decline to fully enforce and uphold the law, Newman said. Asked what woke means more generally, Newman said, quote, it would be up to the belief. It would be the belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. Newman added that DeSantis doesn't believe that there are systemic injustices in the United States. He also emphasized that he believed Warren's, quote, wokeism led him to sign the pledge not to prosecute abortion crimes, the primary factor that led to the suspension. Using prosecutorial discretion to not prosecute an entire class an entire class of crimes is, quote, a fundamental misunderstanding of how a prosecutor's discretion can be used, Newman said. And that pledge meant that DeSantis had to suspend Warren, yes, because DeSantis, quote, must ensure that the law is enforced. Hold on. The trial over Warren's suspension ended on Thursday, and the U.S. Judge Robert Henkel said that he will likely take at least 2 weeks to render a decision in the case. Warren has asked that the court to reinstate him because the suspension violated his First Amendment rights.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember. Is this prosecutor? I mean, I'm guessing he has to be white, but it sounds like he has a Haitian lawyer, so he might be black, but I'm not exactly sure. Got my man Jean-Jacques down there representing him. I like that. Kaboo. I'm assuming he's Haitian. Jesus, I'm just making all kinds of assumptions here. But I appreciate the question being posed to these conservative elected fascists about what woke is, and the fact that they were able to clearly articulate that it represents the belief, or at least in part of the belief, or is connected to the belief that there are systemic injustices in this country. And I was glad to see them say that aloud, even though they came back with, well, DeSantis doesn't think. DeSantis doesn't think that such injustices exist. And I'll be interested to see what the judge ends up deciding here. But interesting for this prosecutor to take such a stance, to say aloud and to do in practice that he was not going to persecute and prosecute people who, quote unquote, commit abortion crimes.
And he is a white guy. And this is certainly not, this is standard procedure, or all prosecutors have done this over the years and decades around deciding what they will prosecute and what they won't through their discretionary practices. And that includes not enforcing laws or focusing in on laws in which they feel, for various reasons, whether ideologically speaking, whether time wasting, whether how old the law is, whether or not they think it's misapplied or misunderstood. Prosecutors always, based on their office resources, make different decisions around what they will, in a sort of discretionary way, move forward with prosecutions on, what areas of crime or so-called criminal activity, and again, this is just talking about what the office does, in terms of internally. They frequently make these decisions, and remember, the prosecutor's office is not just it's also an elected office, right? And so there's politics associated with it. So this is obviously a political strike, against this prosecutor's office, because of the different politics that are at play here. And for DeSantis, this is another way of brandishing or bringing up his right wing sort of credential or his expected run for president in a couple of years. So this has politics all over it, and I don't see how a judge is going to allow a suspension. Well, I can't see how they roll, of course, but I can't see how it should be allowed that a suspension of this nature is going to be able to last, knowing that by doing this gives the governor total carte blanche at any point whatsoever to override an election result that they don't favor based on some decision at that office level of what they consider to be valid in terms of the prosecution's decision making. So if the prosecutor says they're not going to follow a law that never got off the books but has been there since like 1819 or something, that could be enough of a reason for a governor to now suggest that they're going to suspend a prosecutor because they won't uphold a certain section and or area of a law. So it's obviously this is completely political, but very interesting in terms of what's being played out.
All I keep thinking about is, pregnant people or people with the ability to get pregnant living in states that have these abortion restrictions on the books, and how, in addition to what a emotionally fraught decision can be for a person to decide to keep or terminate a pregnancy, to know that, number one, to terminate the pregnancy is not even an option to you depending on where you live, and two, if you do decide to maybe order abortion pills through the mail and somehow law enforcement finds out, like the fact that people are going to be prosecuted with the weight of the state against them, for a personal medical decision, to me continues to be absolutely galling, and very dystopian, but this is the reality that we find ourselves in. So I don't even really know the politics of this Hillsborough County district attorney. Hillsborough County, correct me, Chad, that's like Tampa area, right? So I always get big cracker vibes coming from Tampa. So I don't know what the politics of this particular prosecutor are, but the fact that this person at least decided to take a stand on this and is willing to fight the governor about this, it is a bit encouraging.
And it's only a matter of time before, not this potential political or particular prosecutor, but it's only a matter of time before either a state AG or a prosecutor in one of these southern states or one of these white conservative states cherry picks a Black woman to prosecute for the crime of quote unquote killing her baby. That's going to be the next big thing. The next big thing is that they're going to implement this law by picking out somebody. Again, it's going to be somebody who they can put up to their white followers as non-sympathetics, someone that they can jump on or harp on and claim that this person is violating the abortion law, like you said, either because they had an abortion, an outright abortion, or they got a pill sent in from the state. But that's going to be the next step. That's going to be a lot of political drama. And that, again, will encourage the frothing of the mouth of these right-wing supporters to come out and support their favorite right-wing candidate, because they're going to pick some black woman, and they're going to prosecute her for the crime, just like when we showed a few weeks ago. A lot of these folks who've been prosecuted for voting illegally, right, have been black working class and middle class and poor black folks. And so that same thing is going to happen next, towards black women, who are going to be used as the folks who are going to be called out and prosecuted, in terms of implementing these criminal prosecutions. And that's the road that we're down. And like you said, this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is only starting. The Supreme Court is not overturned, not looking at this decision anytime soon. And so the lay of the land is that you're going to have certain states, where they're going to go even further to sort of have their bona fides in terms of them being right wing Trumpian supporters, and they're going to use whatever they can in their toolbox. And that toolbox is going to be the prosecution of some black woman for carrying out an abortion illegally in their state.
We don't have to wait for it to be a black woman, because in the state of Oklahoma, there is already a Native woman who is in jail right now serving a sentence for manslaughter because she had a miscarriage. And the reason that prosecutors use to bring charges against her is because she was dealing with a meth addiction, and she had methamphetamines allegedly in her system, and she had a miscarriage. And they were pointing to the fact that she had drugs in her system as the reason that she miscarried. Ergo, therefore, they put her in jail for manslaughter. But people who understand biology and the ways that pregnancy works, you can have a miscarriage for a variety of reasons. Like you could be completely sober, not have any drugs, alcohol, nothing in your system, and still lose your pregnancy. So these ways in which they are, this is also class warfare. I know you have a way better class analysis on this than I do, Kamal, so maybe you could put it in those terms. But this is going to be poor women, women who may not have access to good health care, prenatal care, who are going to be prosecuted for these things. In Texas, it was a Latina who when she was experiencing a miscarriage, she went to the hospital, and the hospital staff contacted the police. Okay. And they actually did bring charges against her, but because there was a bit of an uproar about it, the charges were summarily dropped. But as you said, like, these are the opening shots to what black and brown women can already expect. And we don't even have to wait for it to happen to black women. I'm sure it's already happened to black women, but our brown sisters are already experiencing this too. So yeah.
I remember back in the...
I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, I was going to say, just really quick, y'all, the Brown with Kim Brown, we are supporting the Baltimore Abortion Fund for the month of December. So please go on over to my channel, my page. You can find a link there in our link tree if you want to contribute some funds to the Baltimore Abortion Fund. They are helping so many people that are traveling very long distances to come to Maryland to receive abortion services. So if you support the Baltimore Abortion Fund, it supports pregnant people coming from very, very far away to come get that medical procedure. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kamal.
Oh, no. Quickly, if you want to drop it in the private chat or email it to me before we go, I can put it into the larger chat also. But I was going to say, like, and how times have changed, because there used to be when the right wing was about making sure black women or black folks were not having babies, giving folks abortion pills or sterilizing black women, or stopping the ability of folks to carry was the wave, right? And then again, white doctors, the white electorates, were not criminalized for the very behavior of making sure that they stopped black folks, or black women in particular, from reproducing, or did what they could to stop reproduction. And so, it's all about the swing of the pendulum when it comes to right-wing politics, of what they want to infer or get their side up with. But it all comes at a stake or a cost for us as black folks, and particularly for black women and black women's bodies, in terms of what it is that these folks are deciding to do. So again, this is an ongoing story. We'll continue to watch it. We'll continue to see what happens, again, in terms of how these laws get carried out, and who become the scapegoats, again, for more right-wing craziness in terms of what's happening, not only now, but obviously he's reaching a certain level about what's happening in terms of the craziness and the projection of basically right-wing craziness that's happening right now. Thank you,
Word.
Fanny French, for giving a little $10 donation there.
Why gotta be little though? Why gotta be little? It's big. That's a big $10, Franny France. That's a big 10 right there.
She's
Thank
given more in the
you.
past. I feel like she's given more in the past.
It's not a pay week, Kamal.
It's not.
And I don't think so. And we approaching the holidays. So if anybody that gives us anything, especially during these trying times, it is appreciated. Look, Kamal.
Fa la la, y'all better run that loot. You know what I'm saying? Let's run that loot. Fa la la. How about that? We just had Giving Tuesday. I don't remember a whole upswing in giving. Don't get me started.
Oh wow. I don't know if we got no. Listen, we are not the main recipients of Giving Tuesday. It is those that are seriously in need. I mean, we need, but we ain't seriously in need. Oh, did you get the email I forwarded you? Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But the British, we got some British counterparts.
I did get that email.
I'm waiting to hear from them because I would love to have them on. And big up to Dr. Kehinde Andrews.
Yes.
Like I said, if you just see the looks on the faces of the British people when Dr. Andrews gets on national British television and starts hurting these white people's feelings to their face in real time, it is a glorious thing. Do you mean to tell me you think Britain is racist? He says, motherfucker, did I stutter? That's what Dr. Andrews says. Did I fucking stutter? I mean, that's not a direct quote, Dr. Andrews, no disrespect. But that's the energy Dr. Andrews gives. And he always be smiling and shit. I'm like, look at this man, black man, destroying white Britain feelings in the morning. I fucking love it. Oh, yes, sorry.
No.
Big fan.
Oh, Franny. I keep saying Fanny. My bad. I mean, if you gave more money, I get your name right. How about that?
Stop.
Just jokes. Because she does give every now and then.
No, Franny does what she's supposed to be doing out here, and we appreciate that so much.
In these streets.
Absolutely. Follow Franny French on Instagram. She has very cute Instagram. What else we got here, Kamal?
I got a quick one.
Go ahead. No. Because my Denver Post story that I had, I was foiled by pop-ups and subscription ads. Paywall.
Yeah. So really quick before we get out of here, so it shouldn't be a quick story, but Detroit man gunned down for holding an elevator for a group of women. And so it says Ariel Harris was fatally shot by another man while holding an elevator door to allow a group of women to board first. Let me get rid of that. Pop up. It says a Detroit family has been left to mourn the loss of the devoted father of two who was gunned down for doing the right thing. It says on November 27th, Ariel Harris was fatally shot by another man at the International Banquet Center in Greektown while holding an elevator door to allow a group of women to board before him. It says on the video, the gunman steps back out of the elevator to see what he did and then got back on the elevator and went about his business like he hadn't done anything at all. It says, so like you have no conscience, you don't have a heart, says Rosalind Hurst, Harris's mother. And so Hurst's daughter-in-law was frantic. I'm trying to get to the part where it says why this person did what they did. Numerous posts included. I don't want to show the. It's not giving us a reason here as to why this person did what they did. And so I'm not that there is a good reason, but I just don't understand why this person shot somebody while they were holding an elevator door.
So is the person been the suspect been apprehended? Has somebody been arrested?
Doesn't say in this particular story. This is by Revolt. This is Diddy News. So I guess that's why it's bad.
Yeah, that is bad. Unless it mentions some pertinent information. I mean, not to say that the whole story itself, I mean, it's very relevant, but
it's relevant. I stopped in the middle of the story because it was, again, telling me, as it should, as part of the story, the heartbreak of the family. But I also wanted to know what was known and to what would be the reason that someone would do something this crazy. But I'm going to play this story if I can. I think it's not allowing me to play the video. I wanted to play the video. that's here. So another bad reason for Revolt News is that the links don't work or whatever.
Great
So many-
story there, Kamal.
I didn't mean to flop on it. This was the story that was given, and then the information wasn't enough. So now I feel a little bad because this is a real serious story
Yeah, I know.
about somebody who was unfortunately gunned down, and it seems like for doing nothing. And I'm just trying to figure out.
Well, that's why people come to Black Power Media for news.
And that's why we will no longer go to Revolt.
Let's just take this story down. Thanks, Kamal.
Revolt is no longer a trusted source. Not that they ever were to begin with, but definitely, definitely not now. Let me say something. Somebody said something simple in the chat a while back.
Get him.
Well, no, I mean, argue with your mother, son, like about whether or not girls are out here shooting each other over stuff to the extent that males are. Like, go argue with the wall.
Is somebody actually saying that?
Somebody said this a while, like, oh, that's media, music, and propaganda that boys are shooting each other or men are shooting each other. Girls shoot each other. Do they? I'm not saying that they don't.
They fight. They don't. They fight each other. They don't shoot each other.
I mean, I know there's a lot of evidence that suggests violence in the community is in terms of like the violence caused by Black women. I wouldn't say it's undercounted, but underreported, or it takes on various ways in terms of violence against children. But the level of violence that is happening in our community in terms of what's actually taking people's lives, you cannot sugarcoat that, right? I mean, like when Kim talks about patriarchy and crimes that of the violence, and again, obviously there are reasons for it, right? But still, we have to deal with the issue that I think that you're bringing up, and which you're rightly bringing up, that we as dudes, not only violence against ourselves, against other dudes, violence against women, violence against LGBTQ folks in our community, disproportionately, the level of it in terms of the outcomes is something that's squarely on our shoulders to have to try to fix.
And we grow up, women, girls, femmes, we grow up under the same patriarchy. We grow up with the same access to guns. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we are growing up in two different societies here and somehow it's so much worse for the males and the boys that this is what they go to. We are growing up under the same shit as y'all, under capitalism, under the violence of poverty, all of that. And the resolution for our emotions, not saying that women do it right all the time, but like you said, Kamal, when it comes to like literally life and death situations, somebody is doing the shooting, y'all. And again, somebody's doing the shooting and they are shooting at you. Like the same people doing the shooting are also on the
overwhelming victims of the shooting. Yeah, it's men. You know, I don't want to use this term, but it's like it's Black men and other Black men who are far more apt to be the victim thereof of that shooting too. But I mean, you know, we can talk about it, and we have to talk about the socialization of men in society and of what it means in terms of men's socialization around ego, socialization around the use of violence, obviously biological factors, and even talk about how violence has been used as a survival tactic, but gets drummed upon is also a way in which we solve or resolve intercommunal issues, because it's all that we have, right? In terms of turning to a court system or filing cases or having resources to just say, forget about it. Every little bit, when you're cramped up, every little bit matters, and people find that the only ways in which to resolve things, or figure that the ways to resolve things to keep their quote unquote manhood, to try to get respect and the rest of it, unfortunately, sometimes too often, not exclusively by any stretch of imagination, but too often in our communities results in people doing things like this to prove something to themselves and or to someone else. So there's a lot of work to be done.
No doubt. And let's not call it black on black crime. Let's call it.
I did not. I stopped from. Yeah.
Nor did I.
Even though it is. Let's call it black on black trauma. All right. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get to our next show tomorrow at 8 a.m. Remix Morning Show. We'll be back here. So make sure y'all tell a friend to tell a friend. It is on again. And we will catch y'all in the morning. All right.
Peace.
Remix Morning Show. Peace.